If you want people to call you back for jobs that you're applying to, when it asks you for your race, put one or two or more races. I never put black. They don't even look at it. I always put two or more races. I don't care what color you are. You could be as dark as this mouse, this HP mouse. You're two or more races. Who are they to tell you that you aren't? Who are them to tell you that you don't have a white mom? I once took a picture with a lady. I ain't gonna hold you. Loved this lady. She was my Girl Scout leader when I was a little girl. I met up with her again at one point. I took a picture with her. I had that picture printed out and I framed it and I put it on my desk. So when somebody asked me, oh, who is that? I said, oh, that's my mom. That white woman was my Girl Scout leader. That's my mom. That's your mom. So now one person believes you're biracial.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to my channel. It's Mulatto American. In this video, we have another race baiter, another cosplayer, another LARPer. In this case, we have this woman who is saying to her black audience that if you want jobs to call you back, then select two or more races. And she even goes further than that. Instead of just lying on the application, she even encourages her audience to go so far as to put up a picture or some kind of proof to show that you are, in fact, biracial. As she said in her video, that she used a picture of her Girl Scout leader and framed it, put it in her office desk, so that when people would walk by and ask, who is that? She would say it's her mother. And many things to address. First, this ties into the whole identity swapping that I've spoken about previously in some of my videos, where these black Americans and just black people in general, no matter how they want to identify what type of blackness they are, that they want to do identity swiping or swapping with mulattoes. And this is very serious. You know, some people might try to brush this off and be like, oh, it was just some joke on Instagram. But this has been going on for a long time. Black people want to be mixed, and they want mixed mulatto people to be black. Because for some reason, black people have this assumption that as a mulatto person or as a mixed person, that you have this privilege, that somehow selecting two or more races is going to make employers more likely to call you back, which, as we know, doesn't even make sense, because the black population actually has a community. They actually have numbers. They actually have, and as crazy as it looks, you know, they do have a community of some form. And they have all these organizations and laws that were passed in their favor, like the NAACP, and these discrimination laws that specifically protect them as black people. But somehow they're convinced that choosing to identify with a group that has a much smaller population compared to theirs, that has a much smaller prevalence in American culture, because a lot of them end up getting one dropped, that for some reason they think that gives them an advantage, and that they're so oppressed that they have to assume the identity of another group. So this is modern day passing, I guess. You know how back in the day they say that mulattoes would pass as white, and so now we have black people trying to pass as mulatto and mixed and everything but black. And I don't know about you all, but I've always been under the impression that selecting two or more races doesn't really give you an advantage in applications. I always assume that if you select two or more races, then people just assume, like, they try to one drop you, basically, unless they can actually see you. Like, if they see a white person who selected two or more races, but they say like they're Native American or something, then they might think differently. And the strategy just seems off, you know, because number one, in these applications where they ask your race and all that stuff, are you Hispanic or not? Well, they say that the employer doesn't see it, that it's for some other reasons. But let's be real, the employer can definitely see it. They have some way of knowing how you answered. But it also doesn't make sense, because no matter what you put in the application, assuming that they're going to have an interview where they can actually see what you look like in real time, then I kind of doubt that would even matter, because according to the Black community, they say if you have one drop of black, then you're black. So it really doesn't matter, according to them, what you say in an application or what picture you carry around with you, because according to them, then the employers, the interviewer, and everyone will just see them as a Black person, right? So what exactly are they thinking they will gain from doing this? And the way that she used her Girl Scout leader's picture without her knowledge or her permission, and framed it and put it on her office desk, posing it as her own mother, it's giving obsession. It's giving sad. She's the type of person who comes into work and just cannot mind her business. She's the one that always has to come in and cause some kind of drama and have a problem with people. Because really, who sits there and thinks, you know what? I'm going to frame this lady in a picture that I took together and put it on my desk at work so that people will ask me about it, so that I can lie and say that she's my mother when she's not. So then people will think I'm a different race than what I really am. Because does she think that if she pretends to be mulatto, then people are going to treat her better? That the white people or whomever she works with are going to treat her better? And, you know, I'm assuming it has to be 100% like a mostly white workplace, because you know how the Black community is. And then I bet you when an actual mulatto is in the workplace, then she'll have a problem with them. She'll have a problem, especially if it's another woman. You know, she might have a problem with the men too, but then I don't know, she might try to get with them and then try to pull the, oh, like she's biracial too. But you know, I bet you she would have a problem with the women, because that's the identity that she's trying to take. That's who she's trying to pass as. So, you know, when she sees the real deal, she's going to have a problem and try to find reasons to touch her. Oops, bumped into you. Oops, I somehow pulled your hair. This is very sick and delusional, because imagine if an actual mulatto was there working with her, and this crazy Black girl pretending to be biracial, then she's going to try and become besties with her. Or that mulatto is going to try and be her bestie, you know, thinking like, oh, we're the same, we're in this together, like you understand me. And then whole time, the Black girl is just trying to get information from her so that she can use it against her. She's just trying to get information so she can go relate to the Black community so they know better how to attack us. She's just taking the information so she knows how to better copy her. And notice how she says, who are they to tell you that you're not mixed? And she says it all smug. These are the same people that try to one-drop you whenever you try to express autonomy and say, well, you're mixed or you're a mulatto. She wants to say, who are you? Who are they to say that you're not mixed? Well, who are they to say that you're not mixed? That you're not mulatto? Talking to the mulatto audience. Who are they to tell you you're not mixed? But then you're going to have a Black person say, well, who are they to tell her as a Black girl that she's not mixed? Or better yet, imagine if the mulatto person does end up talking to her and the Black girl admits like, oh, she's not actually biracial. She's just pretending like, oh, girl, this ain't even my real mother. And then imagine the mulatto would then say something about it and say, well, why are you pretending to be a race that you're not? Like, why are you pretending to be me, my race, when you're not me? And then before you know it, then that Black girl is going to use that as a discrimination event. She's going to file a discrimination event against that mulatto person. Because you also have to understand the bind that they're trying to put mulattoes in, because these Black people, they go around saying like, oh, they're mixed because some article came out and said that the average Black American has 25% European DNA, when in reality, that was because of mulattoes identifying as Black who took the survey and did the whole DNA testing. And so their European ancestry contributed to that 25%. But then, these Black people, and she's going to say, oh, but she's mixed too. And don't you know all Black Americans are mixed and blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, this mulatto is going to have a discrimination file against her. And it's crazy because it's like with this whole identity issue that's going on in other political parts, it begs the question, why is it that people feel so comfortable, especially Black people, to say, well, if that mixed person wants to identify as Black, then they can identify as Black. But then Black people also feel like they can identify as mixed, but they're not even mixed. It's a very bizarre reel. I don't even know how filling out those questions even help you. I do have a funny story though. So one time, and this is when I still lived in the Black community in PG County, went to a mostly Black high school, right? And so I was switched to a different classroom because we were taking the PSAT, right? And the teacher was a white female. So on the back of the packet, then it had a question, what is your race? It had the typical choices. And then this time I thought, well, since I'm mixed and they say you can choose which one you want to identify with. And all this time I had been identifying as either other or Black. So I was like, I've been identifying as that all this time. Why don't I just identify as white, because I can identify as which side it's a part of me, right? So I circled white, and it's so weird because when I circled white, the teacher wasn't even near me, but she saw me because I saw, like, as I was circling in white, then her eyes just moved and was watching me and watching my hand. So it's almost like she was waiting to see, like, oh, what am I going to choose? And so she went around collecting everyone's packet. And then when she collected mine, then she just like looked and stared at it and made a face and was like, ugh, and then kept collecting all the other packets. And I thought that was so funny because it's like, obviously she wanted to say something, but she couldn't. So I'm like, yeah, like, look at you making a face, but what's that going to do? And then second, it shows the hypocrisy because, like, that was the consensus where I lived. At least people would either say, like, if you're mixed, you're Black, or if you're mixed, you can choose one or the other, but they typically, like, wanted you to choose Black, even if they said that. So it's just funny because it's like, how does that even have an effect on her? Because if anything, I made the white statistics go up. I made the PSAT results as a whole, I improved it. And it also shows that how we identify, it does have an effect on people. Because it's like, if you can look at somebody and tell, like, they're not white, then why do you have a problem with it? And I was just one person. But it shows that once we have cognizance and we start to push back against the narratives, say, no, we're not Black, we're going to identify as something else, or mulatto or what have you. It shows that it has power because they're so used to the monoracial system. They're so used to things going their way. And even look at what we're doing now with this whole mulatto movement. It is having an impact. So anyone who's watching this, especially if you're a mulatto or if you're mixed, put down in the comments if you've ever filled out an application and chose a race other than Black or even other than 2 or more races. And put down in the comments, like, what happened, how that went for you, or how people reacted. Because there's a lot to be learned from that. That's what I got for this video. I just wanted to put this weirdo on blast. If you like this content and want to hear more, like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next one.